What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into Boston Celtics NBA offseason, as it's been a little more tumultuous than we are used to. Again, if it's your first time here, do me a favor, hit the subscribe, get involved. We're closing in on 2,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? You know what else I can't believe? Jayson Tatum without a boot already. When did my man go down? What was that, like late May, early June? Tatum goes down, has an Achilles tear. It's just, the end of the world, right? They're down 3-1 to the Knicks. Seems like the next season's going to be a total wash. What kind of shape is he even going to be back when he comes in? They were talking about, maybe he won't be as dynamic anymore and he's going to have to go down low. Fast forward, we're not even at training camp, and yet Tatum seen at the Patriots training camp. That's right. He went to, Mike Vrabel brought him in, which, by the way, Mike Vrabel, crazy report of him getting involved in a scrum, in a little battle. Training camp bloodied up a little bit. But our guy Tatum was there without said boot. No boot already. It seems like he's progressing at truly insane rate. And I got to take the L on that because everybody was like, oh, he got the surgery done so fast. He's going to heal. And I was like, all right, yeah, relax. But I mean, honestly, for him to be August 7th and this far along, I still don't think it means he's coming back this season, but I do think it is, noteworthy that Brad Stevens didn't put him on or didn't rule him out. I know we've talked about this before, but the Pacers went out of their way and said, hey, Tyrese Halliburton not playing the rest of this upcoming NBA season. He's shut down. We'll see him in 26-27. Brad kind of did the opposite where he refused to pick a lane. He's like, we're not ruling him out, but we're also not giving a timetable to return. So I do think it does leave the door open for our guy JT to make a return in 2026, right around the All-Star break, maybe March. But I do think so much of it is going to rely on the fact or be based off the fact of where the Celtics are in the Eastern Conference standings. And I kind of wanted to bring this up just to pose it to the chat to get some feedback from you. Where do the Celtics need to be in the East when JT's available to come back to actually bring him back? Where do you want them? So let's provide a couple of scenarios, right? Let's say the Celtics are, say Jaylen Brown misses some time, Derek White misses some time. They're currently the 11th seed in the Eastern Conference. Probably unlikely, but just say they go full tank mode. Then all of a sudden, Jayson Tatum's healthy in March. You don't bring him back in that scenario, right? I guess the case to bring him back would be hey, well, let's get him into a little bit of a rhythm so that he goes into the next offseason, seeing the ball go through the hoop, getting his cardio up, right? Getting game ready. Then he can have a legit offseason, come back strong in the 26-27 season. So that's scenario one. I think that's the most unlikely for him to come back. The scenario where I think he absolutely comes back, if the Celtics are a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, if they are projected around the All-Star break to have home court advantage in the first round, and then all of a sudden, the rumors start popping up, Jayson Tatum available to play. If that happens, I think that's the most likely scenario for him to come back. Because if you're a top 4 team in the East, and then all of a sudden you get an All-NBA top 7, wherever you want to put him, NBA player in the league, and you get him back, and now you're saying, holy crap, we got a shot at doing this for real. I think you bring him back in that scenario. But I think the scenario that I have the least confidence in how they would execute, but the most confidence in this is where it's going to land, is somewhere between the 6 to 9. Nice. The 6 to 9 standings, right? So if they're 7th or 8th, where they're flirting with the play-in, do you bring JT back for that? Is that worth it? And I guess in all 3 scenarios, right, there should be no risk involved. If there's any risk involved whatsoever in him coming back too soon, then don't bring him back. I don't care what scenario is in, whether it's what scenario of the 3 we've laid out. I don't care which one. If it feels like we're rushing him back, it's a mistake to bring him back. It's not worth risking him being 100% healthy the following season, right? So, but if it's in that 6 to 9 and we think he's good to go, do you bring him back in that scenario? Do you think it's worth, trying to make a run as get out of the play-in and then congrats. You got out of the play-in. Welcome to the Cleveland Cavaliers or the New York Knicks in the first round. Now, I mean, again, on paper, maybe you're not too scared. Like, we'd definitely be dogs in both of those series just based on the big man availability that we got. But I do think it poses a pretty interesting question. And I think that's the more likely scenario, right? So I think that's what makes the first half of the season so much more important for the Celtics than in seasons past, right? Because so many times people are like, well, the NBA doesn't actually start until Christmas. The NBA doesn't start until the NFL season, so, right? No, false. Not for the Celtics this year. The NBA season is going to start ASAP Rocky. Because Rocky? Well, ASAP Rocky. We're from Chicago. God, that was weird. But it's going to start immediately because I do think of the Celtics, we get to Christmas. I don't know. How many games do you play before Christmas? 20? 22? I don't know. If they're like, let's say they play 30 and they're 17 and 13, even 15 and 15. I think then, that changes the outlook because I think 500 in the East is going to put you at like a 6 seed right there. And then that changes how they approach the trade deadline. Maybe they're not sellers. I don't think that necessarily means they're buyers, but it might not mean that they're selling off pieces. So, and I know we'll talk about it in the comment section. You guys are obsessed with Anthony Simons. I respect it, but you guys are obsessed. But then maybe that means Simons and Hauser is still there, and you bring back Tatum and you see what you can do. I don't know. I'm curious what everybody else thinks, of those three scenarios. So out of the play-in, in the 6 to 9, nice range, or a top 4 team in the East. Like, how do you play those scenarios out? So anyways, but good news. Love to see JT in New England. He had a good St. Louis trip. He comes back. He's balling at the Patriots practice. You love to see it. It's been only good news from Tatum since the injury, which, you never know how people are going to recover. We're not out of the woods yet, but it is definitely a good sign. The other thing I wanted to do is, because this season is going to be so confusing, I think, for the Celtics, like Joe Mazzulla so far as the head coach of Boston, incredible start, wins-loss record, right? He's got a championship under his belt. He's had 2 seasons where they've been the 1 seed and the 2 seed, where it was like 60-plus wins, 50-plus wins. Like, they've been a torrent win-loss pace, right? But I do think there are still some questions, and I think what makes this season pretty interesting is, like, how's Mazzulla going to do when you don't have the luxury of coaching 2 All-NBA guys, where your third and fourth string, your third and fourth options are like Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, right? What does it look like how are our abilities, and this isn't just Mazzulla, this is the whole coaching staff, the scouting department, like, how are they able to adapt as a team that is able to, cultivate, young talent? You think about Steve Kerr, and I'm not of the mind that Steve Kerr is a bad coach. I know the Celtics fans have interesting thoughts on Steve Kerr after how he handled the Olympics and Jayson Tatum. But Kerr, right, I think he's a great coach, but he's also been coaching Steph, Clay, and Draymond for the majority of their time. He hasn't had really a situation where a young guy blossomed under him, right? The Jonathan Kuminga thing is still ongoing. It's clear that Kerr does not like coaching Kuminga. And I'm not even saying I'm team Kuminga, but you've seen Kuminga not really develop, Moses Moody not really develop, Brandon Podziemski, the jury's still out on him, James Wiseman, we know how that went down. So, Steve hasn't had to do that yet. And now, because they have this Steph Dre core, they went out and get Jimmy Butler. So they're not really worried about cultivating young talent right now. The Celtics, though, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity for Joe Mazzulla to prove that he's not just that one-angled coach, right? That he's able to coach up guys like Baylor Shireman, like Hugo Gonzalez. Who else am I forgetting? Jordan Walsh. Can Peyton Pritchard make a jump? Like Jaylen Brown as the number 1 option. How does this team evolve without their star dude in JT? And how does that change Mazzulla? Because we know Mazzulla is a nutcase, right? I think he's out there. He's a weirdo. The Baylor Shireman stare down conversation there was the interview that was done on CNLS Media, I think, was hilarious, right? So how's he going to do, though? If you're a 500 team, how does that change his mindset, right? Is he able to stay even keel? Is he able to see the forest through the trees, right? What other analogies or metaphors can we throw out there while we're doing this? And so I don't know. And you think about the rest of the Eastern Conference, like I think there are some unknowns. Like I think Kenny Atkinson of the Cleveland Cavaliers obviously did a great job last year until they got to the playoffs. But if you remember his tenure with the Brooklyn Nets, he made D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jared Allen the first time around. Like that Brooklyn Nets team way overachieved. And I think that's because he's good at getting more from those guys that usually bring less, right? But now Kenny Atkinson's in a different role. Mike Brown, we've seen Mike Brown be a good coach when he's had LeBron. We've seen Mike Brown take that Sacramento Kings team and overachieve. How does he do now with the Knicks? Like, honestly, I'm comfortable taking Missoula over both of those guys. And when you go down the Eastern Conference, like Nick Nurse with the 76ers has kind of been a disaster. Doc Rivers, I think Doc Rivers is a fine coach still, but like he's definitely not what he was, in my opinion. And you go down the rest of it, like Charles Lee in Charlotte, young, unproven, still not sure what we got. The guy from Brooklyn, Jordy Fernandez, like he's fine. I think he did a really good job with the talent that they had or sort of had. I forget the Darko, who's coaching Toronto. You know what I'm saying? So I think like when you start going down the Eastern Conference, JB Bickerstaff with Detroit, I think Eric Spoelstra is the only guy that you'd put ahead of Joe in the East. Is that crazy? Like, I think I'm still taking Joe Mazzulla out of all the teams in the Eastern Conference. I think I'm taking him second. And I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think about it. I know there's some concerns with good old Joe, but everybody gets upset because he doesn't. They shoot way too many three balls, right? I totally get it. But I think like when you look at the rest of the Eastern Conference, I don't know. Give me Joe, baby. Give me Joey Maz. The guy loves the town. What do you want me to say? Give me Missoula. All right, let's look at some free agents for 2026 because that's where my mind is at right now, all right? I'm going to give you some of the best ones here. Some of these guys have been signed already, we know Paolo Banchero was going to be a free agent. He got that big old deal from the Orlando Magic. Bradley Beal signed that 1-1 with the Los Angeles Clippers. He's off the market. Dyson Daniels, I don't believe Dyson Daniels has been extended yet. So let me see if that's actually happened because let's see if it went down because Dyson Daniels, he's expected to receive a contract this offseason with reports suggesting a deal worth at least $94 million. I know we talked about Trae Young yesterday. That to me is a situation to watch because I think Dyson Daniels is somebody that could be real spicy, real sexy. You got Luka signed his extension. KD's about to sign his extension. De'Aaron Fox signed his extension. So a lot of the names already off the books. But let's look at some who aren't yet. Draymond Green, he's coming up. He'll have a player option. You got James Harden, which again, it seems like he's going to be staying with the Clippers for a while. So maybe that's unlikely, but names to keep in mind. Another one to throw out there. And again, nobody wants this. LeBron James. Like LeBron, it seems pretty clear to me that the Lakers are going out there being like, hey, we're not signing you, bro. We are not signing you. Unless LeBron's like, hey, we got Luka the big money. We've got a bunch of money for free agency. What if I take a vet min to stay in LA and then you go get some stars? Maybe that happens. I don't know. Porzingis is back off the market, and I wanted to bring that one up because let's bring KP home. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. He could play himself into some big money. I'm very interested to see him play in Eurobasket, but I really enjoyed the Porzingis experience. I know, the dude got hurt, killed us in the playoffs. I get it. It was a freak thing, although he seems to find freak things, You got Norman Powell's out there. He's at Miami. He's going to be looking for a deal. I do like Norman's game. Anthony Simons on the Celtics right now. What's he going to do? We talked about Austin Reeves yesterday. Kobe White's another name to pay attention to. Andrew Wiggins, Trae Young. So there are, and again, some of these names will find extensions before we get to next offseason. We talked about Trae yesterday. But I do think, there are some good names in there, like Norman Powell, Andrew Wiggins, low-key LeBron sounds like he's going to play for a couple more years. All of those guys are potentially interesting. Is there anybody the chat is targeting that they would like to see return or come to Boston? I do think the Porzingis one and Al Horford, two names to pay attention to. Let's get to some of your comments from the previous day. The one thing that I wanted to say before we do that, hey, hit the subscribe, baby. Get that subscribe numbers up. Also, just a heads up, I'm going to be on that vacation. I actually am on vacation right now, but you're going to still be getting these Celtics Daily content. We've got some good stuff planned for the next couple of weeks. I will say, if anything wild happens, if we get any sort of big deals that I haven't had pre-taped and recorded and ready to go, I'm bringing the mic, I'm bringing the camera, might be coming to you live from Dublin, might be coming to you live from Paris, might be coming to you live from Amsterdam, red light district. Who knows? Who knows? That's why you got to tune in every day. But I will make sure if anything wild happens that we'll get something fresh for you. But let's get to some Anthony Simons stuff, because I want to know, and I want everybody to be honest. I want you to be honest, okay? If you lie, you're only hurting yourself, not me. How many of you guys have watched Anthony Simons play? And I only say that. I am a Simons fan, but you want to know why I'm a Simons fan? Because I'm a fantasy hooper, all right? I'm in the DraftKings streets. I'm in the underdog streets a lot. So that's why I'm familiar with Simons' game. And maybe that's how you pay attention to it too. And I think that's fine. But I would just keep in mind, there are plenty of guys really good at fantasy basketball, not great as a winning basketball player. Andre Drummond, great example. But I just wanted to point that out. And I'm not saying that Simons isn't a good player, but it feels like the chat is putting Simons up on some crazy pedestal. So let me get to some of the comments here. And again, I'm not trying to yucky or yum. If you're a Simons guy, let you cook, baby. I'm fine with that. But let me get to some of your comments from yesterday's video, because there was one Simons one in particular that really surprised me. And it was from our guy Joe Fevrer. He says, here we go. The Boston Celtics will be very good because Simons is a better shooter than the declined defense in Drew. Kristaps Porzingis wasn't healthy since being a Celtic. Al is too old. Jaylen Brown is an MVP. If they're not very good on the court, it means the NBA is playing Hollywood movies with the game. Now, the first thing I would say, you're spending too much time on Reddit. I can just tell you right now, you got your tinfoil hat on, you got your conspiracies already cooked. I just got to throw some Simons numbers at you. For a career, he's averaged 15 points, 2 boards, and 3 dimes a game. Last season, he averaged 19 points, 2 boards, almost 5 dimes a game. 42% from the field, 36% from 3. So I just want you to know that, right? And I think a lot of people think Simons is like crazy young. Now, Simons has now played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons in the NBA. He's going to be 26 this year. So this is his 8th season with this first one with the Celtics will be his 8th season. Simons is what he is at this point, right? I don't think we're expecting some enormous growth. If anything, his counting stats should come down a little bit, especially if he stays on the team when Tatum comes back. Because a lot of these numbers were done, alongside Dame for a season or two, but then, or I guess for the first half, but then like the last couple of seasons, that's without Dame. That is without Dame the last 1.5, right? Or 2. The last 2? Was last year the first year with Dame? But he did the last 3 seasons. I will give him credit, right? 21 points a game, 22 points a game, 19 points a game. But I just want to say, the Blazers said, we don't want to pay you. That's why he was traded. Because he's up for a contract next year, and they were like, we can't pay Simons. And so, I don't know. I just keep that in the back of your mind. Again, I'm not trying to be anti-Simons hater, which is what it sounds like I'm doing. I'm just saying, let's keep our expectations realistic. Set the bar at a reasonable height, so that way if he clears it, we say, hell yeah, we fist pump. We say Simons forever. Sorry, I feel like negative Nancy here. Negative Nancy. Come on, man. Simons for MVP. All right, we'll end it with there. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Hope you guys have a great one. We'll see you next time. Smash the subscribe.